Hello everyone, welcome to Ask Jerry, the Chartered Vendor. My name is Abigail, and on this program we bring you all the business juice that you need to hear. And today I am joined by none other than the man himself, Mr. Jerry More Nyazungu. Welcome, Mr. Jerry.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, how's
just
work?
Call me Jerry.
Yes, I read in your book that you don't like to be called Mr. or say you like being called Jerry.
Or vendor.
Oh, yes. The chartered vendor.
Exactly. Or even vendor.
Okay. That's good. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So today we want to discuss on this book that you wrote.
Yeah.
It's called The Chartered Vendor. I'm sure many of people out there have read this book, and it's a very, very good book. I would say it's a autobiography of your life,
exactly.
How you grew up. But I would like to know what inspired you to start writing this book. What was the vision? What was the aim? What were you aiming for?
Okay, so what happened was it was back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So it was during COVID. So we were strategizing with my team. I still remember there was Tendai Matsikinyere. There was Chamuka Chinzende. So as we were speaking, Tendai was also doing marketing. He was a creative guy, and he's still a creative guy because he's still there. So what happened was, as I was speaking, and I said, do you know that I was a vendor? And we used to, when it was, when police would come beating us, taking everything from us, would strategize and always would come back, would be persistent in terms of selling, in terms of pushing our products and services. So they just said, but what we are saying, why can't we just write a book?
Okay.
So I said, can I write a book? Because previously I actually dropped out of English literature class in my O level. So I said to myself, I hate English, and the only book which I've read and I didn't finish was in Forced Search. Probably you're too young to know that book. Anyway, that's the only book which I had read in the rest of my life. So I said, how can I write a book? So they said, no, you can start, then we can assist you. So I was so confident that these guys will assist me. So I started writing. I sat down this other day. It was on, I think, Christmas Eve. Then I started writing. I'm writing. And I noticed that before you know it, it's now 5 pages. It's now 10 pages. Actually, that book was more than around 400 pages.
Wow, that's a lot.
So the guys, when they started editing now, that's when they edited some of the content out, which they thought it was unnecessary to publish. But the whole vision was to say, I later realized whilst I was writing that I've got important information to give to everyone, especially in Zimbabwe, in Africa, to just say, no, you can start from scratch. You can start from nothing. You can, without anything, you can be someone else. You can just achieve that small success which I've achieved, because from the street it's not easy. And I just thought that, okay, probably these lessons will also inspire someone who is out there, a vendor who is out there, someone who is thinking that, no, my life is just about to end, but they can still have hope in that book.
That is true. That book is very inspiring. You need to read this book. But I have a question, Jerry. When I was reading the book, it got to me, the emotions, now reading the story of how you were growing up, how tough it was for you in the streets. How was that like for you? The experience of reliving those moments and putting them into writing. How was that like for you?
Yeah, you start remembering the times probably when you're being beaten by police, feeling cold. I still remember the June of 2006, I didn't have a jersey. So I would wear 2 shirts. Those were very thick cotton shirts which I would wear. And sometimes we were forced to wake up at around 5 a.m. because we'd order donuts, those ring donuts. You know, there was no bread that time. So sometimes we'd actually be forced to order ring donuts, resell them. Yes, it wasn't easy, but sometimes it also makes you humble because you know where you came from. And also you work very hard. And whenever I read that book, I've actually read my book more than 15 times myself.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because whenever I'm reading the book, it actually brings me to say, okay, this is what happened. So it always reminds me that whenever I'm doing something, I don't have to go back where I was, especially in the streets. When I'm getting back into the streets, I'm supposed to be a different person.
Okay, that's well understood. You can hear it yourself from the man Jerry More Nyazungu. But Mr. Jerry, oh sorry, Jerry. Okay, what would you say was like the highlight of your background, like the moments that shaped you to be the person you are today?
Okay, I think the peak was I even in the book I actually highlighted that I was shaped with different people and different backgrounds and different situations. Because you look even in the family, you're the firstborn. Everyone is expecting something from you.
That is true.
And
yeah.
your father is a civil servant, is a soldier. Things started turning upside down in terms of earning. And you want to get into the university, you've got siblings, and they're like, I think. So the pinnacle of my career to me, it's that's why you notice that the chartered vendor, the chartered itself is smaller than the vendor. So to me, the pinnacle of my career was that vending. You're coming from, because I went to good schools. You're coming from a boarding school. I was coming from Hatso. That's Hatsa. It's actually in Mtare, and I landed Nyanga, Maristi Brothers. Then you find yourself, you're this kid with 11 subjects, no C, you've got A's and B's, but you find yourself, you're now selling. Remember, when I did vending, I was coming straight from teaching, temporary teaching.
Okay.
So just imagine, you were once called Sir. Then now you are now a vendor. Someone is now saying, Jerry, when's the airtime? You know what I mean? So that's just that transition made me so humble. I knew what I wanted to achieve. Even the people who used to ask me, I say to them, no, find me in the next 5 years, find me in the next 2 years. I might not be where I am. So even up to now, even in my life, I was actually told myself that I'm not supposed to be on one place in 2 consecutive years. I'm supposed to be growing. I'm supposed to see that transition happening. So to me, the pinnacle of my career was the vending part, because you meet people, you start talking to people. That's when I learned the first skill of persuading people. You're now convincing people to buy from you. You're talking to strangers. You gain friends, you gain enemies, you gain competitors, because sometimes it's vending. In vending also you compete.
That is
you
true,
face hardship. You're now paying your own rentals at the age of 19. So it wasn't easy. So to me, I think that was the pinnacle of my life, and I always cherish that moment. And I think God was preparing for bigger things for me.
Indeed. Okay, so before we go to the vending part, you mentioned school, and I believe that education is a great way to shape the young people.
Exactly.
And in the book, I saw you mentioned that your father never visited you when you were in boarding school.
Yeah.
And me, myself, I wouldn't want that. Like, how would you say the children of nowadays are like? Are they strong enough to go through what you went through and to build to be the person you are today? Are there people like that, or that caliber of people is now scarce?
Yeah, it's now scarce because we are now comparing with what was happening in the 90s or the early 2000s as compared to now, whereby we're living in the digital age. And whereby resources sometimes they're now plenty. You know that even drinking this water which was supplied by refined water,
Yes.
you know, even drinking this kind of water, people used to call it mineral water. Because if you see someone drinking this kind of water in the early 2000s, you're very rich. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes you look at things and you say, right now families can now afford to eat bread every day. Right now families can now eat meat every day. During that time, it wasn't easy, Abby. It wasn't easy. So sometimes we'd even know that probably the reason why my father is not able to visit me is actually struggling to raise some more fees.
And you understood that?
Yeah. Because sometimes if he's going to also come to visit you, probably is now even diminishing all those whatever he was actually gathering for you in terms of fees. So to me, I think that the children of nowadays, but they need to be taught. They need to know history. They need to be taught that life is hard. That's why you notice that now some of the young girls are now doing other things. Boys are now engaged into drugs. It's because of we are not reminding them how our history was like. So if someone knows where we came from, at one point people used to write letters. At one point, we're a patient generation. I'm privileged to live in both generations, whereby we're now using phones. And in the yesteryears, would write letters, write a letter, wait until 2 weeks or even a month, the letter to reach the recipient. And the recipient is going to also reply you after about 2 weeks or 1 month. So it means in 2 months, you just communicate once. And we're very patient. Yeah. So it taught us to be patient. Even nowadays, we know that, yes, we're now living in a fast life, but we're also patient in a way. So I would like to also encourage our young people to be also patient. When you see that things are not happening, you're at a certain job, you're employed, probably you're not earning what you think you must be earning, but look at your age, you're 21, you're 23, you're 24, you're still young. So is it a period for you to earn or is it a period to learn? If you learn much, it simply means that you're in your 30s, you're now going to be earning more because you're now armed with information, with education, and the right skills.
That is very true. So I would want to know now, you mentioning about patience.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the time it took for you from school to vending, in fact, from school, teaching, working for other people, vending, the process, you were patient enough saying, my time will come.
Yeah.
Like, where was the motivation coming from? Did you ever come to the point where you'd be like, I want to give up now. I can't do this anymore. What was pushing you to say, let me just keep going? Because if I were you, I probably would be like, no, let me just leave this and I can't do business. I cannot work for anyone else.
Exactly.
What was pushing you? Because I'm sure at that moment, at that time, you were not yet married or had a family to take care of, but you kept on pushing. What was the motivation?
The motivation was, you look at your background. You've got siblings who wants to attend school, and they're looking up to you to say, no, our brother is in Harare, and our brother is supposed to give us something. So remember, when you're coming from a background, so sometimes when you look at the mirror, it actually shapes where you're going. That's why even when you're driving, you keep on looking at the rear mirror to just see what is happening behind me. So that one only, it made that I was supposed to be a bit disciplined. I think I also wrote in my book that I met Ambuya Tendai, who also taught me valuable lessons to say about life. When you get into Harare, please focus. And focus is actually something which is very key and fundamental. You see other people buying, even right now, at my age, you see other people driving big cars. Yes, you want to also drive those kind of big cars. But sometimes you look at the mirror, who am I? You need to define yourself to say, whatever you're doing, even at work, I used to give my all. Whichever company I worked for, I used to treat it like my own company. Hence, I think it was easy for me also when I started my own, because charity begins at home. But most of the people, we think that I'm going to start being serious when I'm now working for my own company. So I would like to think that, and I'd like to also say, it was important for me to learn from my background and see wherever I was going. So every decision, if I was going to even get into a relationship, I'll look at my background, I'll look at my mother, I'll look at my father. This girlfriend I'm dating, is she going to be received in my family? So it was always about consider my family first, consider my background first, not leave whatever good deeds which you're taught by your parents, by the community, because it takes the whole community to raise a what?
Yeah,
Child.
that is true. Now, I've seen a lot of people who actually say they blame their background for the situation they are in. Did you ever think of blaming your background for the delay in progress? To saying, no, where I'm coming from, this is the reason why I'm not yet there. This is why I don't have a car yet. This is why I don't have a company, because I was poor.
Definitely. You know, when you're doing vending, it's cold. Imagine it's cold. It's very cold. It's winter. You're struggling. Sometimes you're in police cells because you're arrested because of vending. sometimes you start thinking that, no, why me? Other kids are in university. Other kids are now doing their masters. But I'm still in the streets. Why is that my parents couldn't afford sending me to school? Why me? Why is that? Because imagine, because I think almost everyone in our stream in A level and in Form 4, they all went to universities and they're there in the streets. You're even failing to afford yourself a meal and you're only eating probably once a day. So sometimes you'd cry. Sometimes you feel like you want to give up. But I tell you, there's this word which just actually comes to you and say, let us continue to push. There's no way to run. Because it's either we're supposed to go back to Watsomba or to keep on struggling in the streets of Harare.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let us take a short ad break and we'll come back and hear more about this book by Jerry More Nyazungu. I'm sure you cannot wait to hear more about what he wrote in this book.
So, what makes us different from other consulting companies?
We offer the best business advisory that any company can benefit from. We also ensure that our customers excel in all aspects of their business operations. So, don't come to us just expecting business registration, setup, or a simple software solution. Let us be the doctor for your company. We'll examine all the challenges you're facing and prescribe the best tailored solution for you.
That way, we can build timeless, successful businesses together.
Are you failing to make sales? Or do you have a sales team that is failing to meet their targets? The Chartered Vendor Sales Institute is offering intensive 12-week sales training program designed to offer your sales team with efficient sales skills. The program will include weekly sessions, 2 lecturers, practical exercises, and theory assignments. Through this Sales Institute's training, salespeople will be learning fundamental sales principles from prospecting, follow-up, closing, and negotiation. The grading system is mainly focused on practical exercises, accounting for 70% of your grading mark. Participants also undertake a capstone project to apply to real-life scenarios of what they would be learning, and they stand a chance to be certified by the Chartered Vendor. The Chartered Vendor Sales Institute is open for individuals and companies, and if you or your team members need to be part of this, you can get in touch on the numbers showing on the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to Ask Jerry, the Chartered Vendor. I am Abigail and I am with Jerry More Nyazungu as we continue discussing the topics and the life background of Jerry More Nyazungu in his book, The Chartered Vendor. Jerry, welcome back again.
Hi, thanks so much.
Okay. So, as we continue with your story, I read in the book that you were a teacher. You started teaching now. Was that part of your vision that you'd want to be a teacher? Because right now I know that you are starting an institute, which is starting on the 1st of June. Was that part of the vision?
I don't want to lie. This actually just happened because, in our family, my uncle, my father's brother, was actually a temporary teacher.
Okay.
So I knew that when you finish O level or you finish A level, you can get a chance of being a temporary teacher. I was just waiting for your results. You can teach and earn some few dollars. So it so happened that when I finished my A level, me and my brother and I, we had only one trousers which you could use when you want to probably go to the growth point, at Watsomba growth point. So it simply meant that we couldn't go to Watsomba, both of us at the same time, because we didn't have a deserving outfit or a deserving trousers which we could wear. So I would wait until he comes back, then I would wear his trousers and go back. So I said, this situation is unbearable. What can I do? I can be a temporary teacher so that I can raise some money, try to buy clothes, try to also help my mother, try to also help my father. So that's how I became a teacher. Then I started going to it's called the district offices. That's when I was chosen to be a temporary teacher at Nyamingura Secondary.
Wow.
And although I was teaching a secondary, I had not received my A-level results because I had used my soft skills in earning that job because they wanted someone with A-level results. But I got that job with just O-level results. So that's how I became a teacher.
That's amazing.
But anyway, I later realized that even when I was teaching, I would teach passionately to the extent that some other teachers would become jealous. Because in my class, it was always jovial. People sometimes would use these other methods which would make people like the lessons, whether it was mathematics, whether if it was accounts. Sometimes I would make kids shout. And some other teachers would even say, this is not a crash, Jerry. You want to transform this. I still remember in a staff meeting, and it got under my nerves, and I was very angry when this other lady teacher actually said, no, Jerry, this is not an ECD. Some other teachers are actually making noise for us to are teaching because they became so jealous. And we were more like celebrity teachers at that school at the tender age of 18. So that, I think, is still in me. That's why even right now we are still teaching and we'll continue teaching. And through the Sales Institute, we'll be teaching more people on how to sell. And I believe that we can teach at least 1 million Africans before we go 6 feet under.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. So your book now, it talks a lot of your background, yes, but it has a lot of business inspiration behind it. Is that the reason why, one of the reasons why you wrote the book, to create business people? Can business people read this book and actually achieve their business goals?
Yes, for sure. Like if you notice, I still remember when I was in Bulawayo, that was last year, and I went into this other restaurant, and before I wanted to buy, then this other gentleman just said, Jerry, hi Jerry, no, I'm the one who's paying. After it paid, and they actually said, Jerry, just get this $50 as a token of appreciation. And I said, why are you giving me? Then he said, I bought your book. I read your book. There is a computer in one minibus, a taxi, which he was now using in his business. And it was all because of the book. That's what he said to me. Then I said, wow, so this book is actually transforming life. And I've heard a lot of testimonies to say the book is transforming many lives, especially in the business fraternity. Because most of the book is unfiltered. I wrote about all the information, even risking putting all the names in the book. So it's a book which I was actually narrating the mistakes which I've made also when I was trying to build a business. What I did good, what I did bad. And most of the people, they can learn from me. They can learn through my mistakes. Okay. I don't want people to go through what I actually experienced because it was bad. And it was also because I was an amateur. No one was there to mentor me. No one was there to show me the ropes. No one was even there to give me even a book which had guidance to say, if you want to get into business, this is how you do it. If you want to build a team, this is how you do it. If you want to hire someone, this is how you're going to be doing it. If you want to do accounting, this is how you budget your money. And no one actually taught me about that.
Okay. Still on that, not on business.
Yeah.
I know that you're a book writer and author, but what do you say about having that discipline as an entrepreneur to read? What do you say about that? Like a lot of us young people, we don't like to read. You always mention that if you want to hide something from a black person,
put it in exactly.
Write it down, and we don't read, even if the solution is there to do business. So what do you say about reading as an entrepreneur?
That's the most important thing which you can do each and every day. Why do I say so? Even up to now, the way I see the world and the way I see other people viewing the world is completely different. For example, if someone is actually probably spending money even on a car, because I've read many books which would actually teach me about financial literature. So you notice that, no, I'm actually wasting money. This decision which I'm about to make, is it an investment? Before you buy anything, if you're someone who is reading books, real business books, you actually say, okay, fine, even if I'm buying myself clothes, is it an investment or it's a liability?
Okay.
So everything which I'm now spending on, even if it's marketing, it's sales, it's HR, I tell you, books have managed to transform my life. You read Elon Musk's book, what a crazy guy with crazy ideas. You see someone who is a billionaire spending hours in offices, even sleeping on a couch. You notice the sacrifices these guys make for them to transform this world. Look at what is happening. Starlink is now all over. Actually, congratulations. Zimbabwe has managed to license Starlink.
Network for people.
Exactly. So you look at these guys who have managed to transform the world. You look at your Bill Gates. You look at your Dr. Strive Masiwa. All these people, they read. And reading is very, very important. If you want to learn, if you want to invest in yourself, start reading, especially business books. They will really change the way you think. They will change the way you see things. They will change because as a layman, you've got a way you see things. There's a way the whole community sees things. But when you are a reader, sometimes actually that 1% or that 1% who is actually saying, if everyone is saying this is correct, sometimes they're saying, no, this is wrong because we read somewhere. Yeah, so I've read a lot of authors, but likes of Grant Cardone's, Jeffrey J. Fox, and there are a lot of them. And I actually encourage the young people to read, and not read to pass, but read to apply.
Okay. That is well understood. So you were mentioning big names here. Right. Elon Musk, Jay Blunt. These are big people, and they are not African now. And there are people, I've seen a lot of people criticizing what you post on your social media. Some would actually go to the extent of saying, this is Africa, we are different from the Europeans. So now, looking at as you wrote in your book, you mentioned the economy was tough. The economy was tough when you were working, especially when you said you worked at Edgar's, even being a vendor at the 2008, how the economy was changing. And people still say it's because of our economy. That is why we are not growing. You cannot compare us to the Europeans. Is that a correct thing to be saying when you are doing business?
No, it's not. Why do I say so? You look at the likes of Dr. Strive Masiwa. He's a billionaire. But he started this company in 98. I think I was given a license in 98, but he started in 1993. Yes, he started when the economy was much better. But if you notice why Econet is where it is today, it's because he took advantage of the problems which are there and he solved the problem. Hence, he's now a billionaire and he's an African. He lived in this same Zimbabwe with us. You look at the likes of Patrice Motsepe or Dangotes. They've got many. You look so your Shingaim Tasa. They've got same backgrounds. We are all in this continent. But if you continue crying that we're in Africa, we're in Zimbabwe, so we're never going to make it. If you also look at Elon Musk, he's an African.
Yeah, that is true.
He's from South Africa. So what's our excuse? The richest person in the world is an African. He's from South Africa. So our excuses sometimes actually expire. And at one point, if you look at China, just look at 40 years back, China was even probably worse than Africa. But look where China is today. It's because there's someone who said, enough is enough. We're going to change our country. And those people, they sacrificed for China to be where it is today. And sooner than later, it will be overtaking the United States of America as the biggest economy in the world.
Yes.
And it meant that these guys, they to sacrifice. They have to actually say, not to blame their situation, not to look down upon themselves, but they said, no, we need to actually put our heads high. We can actually make it as Africans. So what I can simply say to the people is, as much as they criticize, the reason being, I'm no longer worried about being criticized because I know that only I post for 1%. And even when you realize, you still remember, even as we are running our pages, we just say, no. Our content is going to remain business. Even if you find some content which is out there, which can attract 10,000, 20,000 people on the page. But the goal is to, I think there's a guy called Danny Locke. He has said, if you're a consultant or if you're a business person like me, that statement was profound. We are not there to transform losers into winners, but we are there to transform winners for them to win more.
Okay.
So we only focus on the winners. The losers, they've already lost. Why should we care about the losers? Until probably that Damascus moment comes, probably they are going to, I think in Shona, they actually say, or the dogs are never going to probably gain eyesight on the same day. So that's it. We have to continue pushing. The narrative is still the same, Abby. We don't have to blame 99% of our problems are internal. 99% of your problems, if you scrutinize yourself, they're internal. But to focus on the 1%, you say because it's happening. I think the other guy who actually said something which is profound is Grant Cardone. He actually said, it doesn't happen to you, it happens because of you.
Profound, very, very profound. So you're talking about the problems being internal, and you were mentioning something about China becoming very successful, right? And us as Zimbabweans or as Africans, we're failing to get there. It's most probably because of the work culture, because you always mention about the work culture. And from your book, I also read that there are some parts that I see in you, in the work that you do, and hearing from other people. Maybe let's take, for example, the story of Mbuya Tendai. She had a lot of tough rules she gave to you. How were those rules like shaping you to have the toughness that you have right now, to say, okay, I will have this kind of work culture in my own company? Like, can other companies also copy that and make Africa a different environment in terms of business?
Yeah, I think what I've learned, especially with the small exposure, the little exposure which I've gained from watching what will be happening in the States and in UK, I noticed that we are very different in terms of our approach towards many things, especially like what you've actually mentioned, working culture. So I say to myself, what can I do? And I think also it's at a tender age, where sometimes you think that probably your father is giving you tough things to do, is asking you to water a garden, is asking you to wash, probably to say, no, you're supposed to be the one who's doing these chores and everything. You think that, no, probably doesn't love us. But that can actually transform you to be a tough person. So even when Mbuya Tendai was giving me all these rules, I've learned in my life to say whatever negative, whatever people they think is negative, to me I said, let me take advantage of what this person is saying, and what she's actually saying, it's similar to what probably my mom was going to also say. And what was my mother going to say if she was going to hear Mbuya Tendai? She was going to endorse all those statements. So I said, let me listen carefully, let me practice and what he was preaching, and up to now, I still use some of those principles. So it has actually shaped me to be who I am, and that toughness. And when we're tough to each other, sometimes I've worked with many young people. Soon after leaving the company, they will text me, we didn't realize, I wished if I'd listened more, because whatever you were teaching us, I'm now using it. And I like, okay, whenever you want to come and learn more, feel free. Because many people, when you're doing it to them, they think probably, no, this person doesn't love us. This person wants us to be, I think he's a dictator. I but I'll be training you to be who you are in your future. And I was trained. I was groomed by Mbuya Tendai. I was groomed by the likes of Mr. Raymond Mutukudzi. He's still at Edgar's by now. He was my manager and he's still there in Edgar's. So this guys actually sacrificed whatever they had, they gave me. And I'm who I am today. So what about if I also create plenty of those people now who have got different mindset, who can think that Africa can be a better continent? My simple dream is employing a British guy straight from UK coming into Zimbabwe, because I'm offering a competitive salary which he can get, which he cannot get in UK. My dream is to say, how can I actually employ Mr. Wang in China, coming in, working for an African? My dream is to say, but not to have only one British. We want to have them as many as they are coming into Zimbabwe, and we will actually be denying visas to say, no, Mr. White, we cannot
still
give
want
you a
to
visa.
myself.
Exactly. That's what you want to do. Hey, Mr. Wang, no, there's no visa for you to get into Zimbabwe. You want employment. So that vision, I believe that in 100, 200 years, or even before that, that vision is going to be achieved. Probably I won't be there to witness it, but you might be there, or our children will be there, or the children of our children will be there to witness that.
Okay. Maybe for our last point, I would like to go back just a little bit to the vending side. You learned sales from vending, was it? Did you start learning sales from vending, or it was way back before that? And how do you think, or what do you think is the importance of sales in business?
Okay, thank you so much. I think I'll refer you to a guy called Vusi Tebekwaya. What a genius, a orator, a good public speaker. What he said is, if you hate sales, forget about being an entrepreneur. Why? Because every day you're selling. Whatever you're doing in life, you're selling. So you get into a board meeting, you want to convince other directors to be on the same page with you, you're selling. If you want your employees to be on the same page with you, you're also selling. If you also want your customers to buy from you, you're also selling. So my Damascus moment was when I started reading books. It wasn't way back. I started reading books in 2020. And I think, I thank God that that journey which I traveled to Zambia and I read this book whilst I was on an airplane actually transformed my life. And COVID came as a blessing in disguise. Because that's when I started reading as well. When I was now reading the books, that's when I realized that whatever we were doing in vending was sales.
Yeah.
And you needed good selling skills for you to survive on the streets. That's when I learned that, okay, fine, this is sales. So to me, I think, yes, I knew about sales. Remember when I told you that even when I gained that space at Nyamingura Secondary School was because of sales. That's when I realized that no, whatever I did was sales. But by that time, I didn't know that it was sales. And most of the people sell, but they don't know that they're selling. So I just want to say to people, they really want to work on their skills, make sure that you read, make sure that you're persistent, and make sure that you're tough and you can survive in any continent and in any country.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. All that was being said is all in this book, The Chartered Vendor by Jerry More Nyazungu. And if you'd like to know more of how he started his company, M&J, it's all in this book, everything that you want to know as a startup business or as an entrepreneur in simple terms. Jerry, thank you so much for sharing this information with us.
Welcome, Abi.
We hope to see you again next time.
Great.
Obviously, because we'll be asking you,
Okay,
Jerry.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us again next time, same place, same time.